Good everyone. Today we'll be looking at HTML in details. Um, the first thing is that we have did some exercise, some tutorials on that actually. So today we want to just kind of brief everything from the start. So like we all know that HTML is a markup language. That's just it. HTML is a markup language. Some people call HTML programming language. Yes, it's a programming language, but it's not kind of completely programming language. We call it markup language. So the markup language is just that it helps us to provide setup content, a responsive content to the browser. So without HTML, we cannot uh, set up our content in terms of image, everything. So HTML serve as the structure of any web page. So without HTML, there's no any content. So the HTML basics, in short, is that's HTML. What we need to know in HTML, because all these language they are a little bit complex. HTML itself, you cannot say you are HTML developer. You know everything about HTML. So because every day new things are added to all this language, but we just need to what? We just need to know the basics actually. So now the basics, number one is what we call a tag. Tags, elements, attributes, nesting, HTML, simple boiler, now form and what? And table. So we'll be taking this one after the other, just kind of explain again. So the first one is a tag. What do we call a tag? Now I have a simple kind of image here to illustrate what is a tag. Now a tag is kindly divided into three. Actually, we have just two here. We have what's called an opening tag and closing tag. Okay, let's understand this first. So we have what's called opening tag and closing tag. So what's opening tag? But what's a tag itself? A tag is kind of the word markup in HTML is the word markup there is what is this tag we are talking about. I guess me because every content is wrapped inside what's inside this tag. So without the tag, we cannot easily to what we cannot able to display any content to the browser. So a tag is kind of providing uh, a syntax for us to do that. So we look at this label, let's look at this image. We have opening tag and what closing tag. So in between the opening and the closing tag, we have what our content. Do you see that? So together with opening tag and the closing tag, we have with the content is called what element. So we see that. So element is combination of the opening tag, the closing tag, and the content. Now, um, in my folder here, I've created a folder called front end. Then I've opened that folder with Visual Studio Code. So when you right click on this, you see open with code. That is if you have installed your Visual Studio Code. So when I come here, I've opened it right here. You can see. So I want to kind of I'm still coming to all these bases, but I want to just kind of do everything together so that we are going to catch up with everything. Now, this Visual Studio Code is a kind of IDE. We call it IDE, Developer Soil IDE, because we have a lot of IDEs actually. IDE means Integrated Development Environment. They help us towards they are like a editor that we use to write our code, any kind of language can use to do it. So now, um, it has a lot of functionality, especially this Visual Studio Code, because most developers, you can even go online and say, okay, search for the top best code editor or IDE. They're going to see this Visual Studio Code as the first one. So it has a lot of functionality for making our code faster, a lot of extensions, automations like that, like that. Now, if you open a folder with Visual Studio Code, we can do that, or just open your Visual Studio Code, click on this file, and say open folder. That means if you are trying to open a folder with Visual Studio Code, that's that. But I've opened my own here. I've already opened my own here. Front end, you have seen it here. So now the first thing I'll be doing, I'll be creating a file. I'll creating the file here. So we have some little things we can do here. If I click on this file, you can see new file like that. But when you first work on this Visual Studio Code, when you just download the application installed, you're going to do some settings. So the first one is when you click on this file, click on what? Auto save. Like I said, this Visual Studio Code provides a lot of what? A lot of functionality that makes our code very faster, easier to deploy and all of that. Now when you click on this file, let me come again, this file, click on auto save. You're going to automatically save your work instead of you saving it often and often. So just normally, if you want to save, you press Ctrl S on your keyboard. But the moment you just click on this file, auto save, automatically all your work will be saved without saving again automatically. So that means you just need to continue coding and seeing results or deploying anyhow. No need for you to save again. That's that. Now, if I come to this edit, we have a lot of though all these they are a little bit depending on the project you are working on, be able to now look at this as appearance, full screen, primary menu bar. This menu bar is the one at this place, menu bar. If I come to this view, appearance, just to set up some things. Though when you download this Visual Studio Code, it comes with a lot of kind of setup automatically. You don't know if you're disturbing yourself. So we have Go, Switch Editor. We don't need this. They're kind of combination of two things together. We are doing complex activities like that. This is a terminal. If you are clicking on this terminal, it's going to open a what? A terminal for you right here. You can see. Because this terminal is very important. This terminal is also known as a kind of CMD, that's command line interface. Command line interface. So that's when you are running maybe Node or any package you want to install. So that's that. Like I said, that's a lot of word functionality. Now I'm talking about the extension. I called extension earlier. This extension here is very important. As a developer, you need to like I said, this Visual Studio Code provides a lot of functionality that makes our code easier. Now some of the extensions, I'll be dropping those extensions on the group. So when you want to download them, just come to the extension right here. I get him. Just click on this extension. Then you see search extensions. So you type some of the extensions. I'm going to drop it like I said. Just type it. Then you need to what? Just click on download. Just click on download. You need to what? Download the extension for you. Very simple. Because I've downloaded some extension, live server, like that. But I'll be dropping the one you download actually on the group. So if you want to download, just click on this extension and that's all. Now coming back to the now, how do we manage our folders, files, and everything? Now, if you look at this point here, we have open editors. We have front, this part here, this second one is a folder you have opened. Now, that's where we are going to. Now, if I click on this icon here, I guess we can create a file. We can create a folder. We can refresh. We can what? We can close all folders we have opened. Now, look at this. If I come here, right here, I want to create HTML file. I'll say index.html like that. So if you look at this part here, I'm trying to create a HTML file, but you'll be wondering that I'm using index.html. So this HTML here, this .html is what? Is an extension. We use what? We use it to a kind of recognition, I guess, for the IDE and the browser to know that oh, you're writing HTML language, you're writing HTML file, not other language. I get me. So other language has their own extension. We call it the extension. So if you look at this, I created a file that has an extension of what? HTML. So that means I'm writing HTML language. So let's say I want to create another file for CSS. Let's say I'm writing CSS. I'll just say just a name dot the extension. So I'll say the name, let's say style. I get in style.css. So this CSS is what? Is the extension for what? CSS. So that's CSS. So that's that. So that's all about that. Now if I come here, let me delete this. Now so since here all these languages are kind of a little bit complex when you start working on them. I guess that's your first trial when you start coding in general. But when you know some basic features, I guess it's going to make you like a little bit confident on yourself. I guess a little bit. I guess like I said, you cannot know it all, but you need to know the basics. So let me create the file again, index.html. So coming back to the HTML basics, like I said, we have tags, we have elements, we have attributes, we have nesting, simple boiler. Now I've explained tags. We have, from this image here, we look at this example. This was example of a tag, paragraph tag. Then that means if you want to write any content to the browser, you need to have a opening tag and a closing tag. Then in between the opening and the closing, we have our content. So this content can be anything, but the tag must be the same. You can see P is at the opening here, while P is also at the closing. But the difference between the opening and the closing is the / at the closing here. That means you are closing a tag. So now, what I'll move to this simple boiler next. This simple boiler. So this simple boiler gives us a kind of structure of HTML, because, like I said, HTML provides us with the structure of our website, how you want to arrange your contents, everything. So the content I'm saying is your content can be text, image, videos, a lot of anything you think of, files, and so on. So for you to render this perfectly on the web page, because you cannot just come to the HTML and writing anything. I guess it's a language, so you need to communicate with the language, a kind of syntax the language you understand. I guess don't forget, these are just web browser language, because they run on what? They run on browsers. HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, they run on browsers. So now, if you look at this, now simple boiler. Let me move to simple boiler because I'll be using it here. So if I come here and type, now we have some, like I said, this ID is it's very powerful. So if you look at this HTML boiler, is like 8 to 10 lines of code if you're writing them. But for you to, like I said, we need to make our work faster. We have a lot of things to do. We cannot be typing. I guess me. So for us to generate our boiler, simple boiler, we can just and click on Shift then 1. I guess it. So this Shift 1 is providing you what? This exclamation mark. Do you see that? Exclamation mark. Or just type HTML, I guess, and then click on this file 5. You can see. So that's the version of the HTML we are using, HTML5, because we have some previous version. I guess me. So the current version we are using now is HTML5. So I click on this HTML5. Do you see that? Or just click on Shift then 1. Do you see that? Then click on this. We are still getting the same result. Now, starting from the first one here. Now I'll be explaining. Let me try to zoom my screen so that I'll be able to see very well. Now, if you look at this, the first line of code here is doc type. Do you see? Doc type. Because this language is something you can read. I guess a program language is something you can read, unless you cannot read very well. But that's not common actually. So they are just readable language, just to understand how they work. That's all. Now, the first code here, doc type, document type, HTML. This is a document type HTML. Now, this is telling us that we are writing a document type of what? HTML. That means the documents we are writing. Don't forget, HTML is used to serve our content. So this document you are writing, the type is what? HTML. So this particular syntax here comes with what? HTML5 version. We have HTML4, HTML3, 2, 1. I get me. So the current one we are using now, this is syntax for the what? For generating the simple boiler. Now the second code is HTML, then lang, LEN. Do you see this thing? Lang EN. I'm still coming to that. So it's telling us that we are writing a language of what? English. Language of English. Now, what this thing is doing to us is what we call attribute. Let me come back to that. Now, if I let me zoom this in. Now, I want to talk about attributes now. Just pay attention. Now, if you look at this kind of a tag now, this is a tag. This is that a p tag. This was just opening tag and was closing tag. Now, if you look at this very well, we have some things inside this opening tag. I guess we have class, text, attribute, value. So what was this? Now, this class you are seeing, if you look at it very well, is wrapped inside what the opening tag. So this class here is a class attribute. So what do we call an attribute? An attribute is a kind of additional syntax to an element that give us a kind of let us to add more information, more a kind of unique identity to a particular element. I guess me because coding is a little bit dynamic, so you need to be actually dynamic with it also. So now this class is kind of is giving us more information. This attribute is trying to give us more information about this tag. Okay, we have a paragraph tag. Yes, a paragraph opening, closing, and what the content. The content is what hello world. Now this class attributes, we have the class attribute and value. So this class here can be called the name, and this value here, this text can be called the value. If you look at it. Now we have attribute name and attribute value. So the attribute name here is what? Is class, while the attribute value is what? Text. I will say that. Now if you look at this thing, if you observe inside what the opening tag, you need to be very observant. Inside the word the opening tag. That means an attribute can be found inside the word the opening tag, not the word, not the closing tag. Now if I come here, right here, now if you look at the example we have here, if you look at this very well, this is the opening tag, HTML. This is angle brackets, opening tag. Then this is the closing tag because it has what? Forward slash. Don't forget that's the sign of a closing tag. In between, we have what? The name of the tag, HTML. But if you look at this language, it's an attribute, language attribute. So it's inside the word the opening tag, not what the closing tag. Likewise, the example we explained here. Now, that's that. So this language, this attribute is telling us that we are writing a language HTML. That is, the language is what? Language is what? English. I guess in the language was English. That means yes, it's English because we can what? It's readable. It's something we can read. Ed, meta. It's something we can read now. So that language is what is English. Now the second thing is the head here. If you look at it. Now inside the HTML, like I said, this simple boiler gives us the structure of any website. This simple boiler, I guess in the structure. So if anything you want to write in HTML, if you want to start writing it in HTML, you need to generate your simple boiler first. That's the first thing. Generate your simple boiler first. Using what? Shift 1 or type the HTML, you see the 5 there. Just click on it. That's it. Now, if you look at this thing inside the HTML, this HTML is also known as the root of elements in HTML, the root of all other elements in HTML. Now, if I click on this head, the HTML consists of two elements, body and what? Head. Now, if I click on this head, we have some meta tags, meta tags, and some other things. The inside the body is where our content is meant to be placed. Don't forget, it's inside the body our content is meant to be placed. Don't write anything outside the body or inside the head. It's inside the body our content. You want to write any tag for it to show it in the browser, it's inside the body, not inside the head. Now, this head contains, if you look at this head, let's take this to, let's relate it to a human being. Are you getting me? Our head is like a powerhouse of the whole body system. Without the brain, without the head, because the head contains the brain. So the brain serves as powerhouse because it controls everything in the body. If you have any pain in your body, you have any pain, the brain is the brain that will let you know that, oh, you have a pain on your hand or you have a pain at your back or anything. Are you getting me? It's the brain. So this head here is also what? It's also telling us, giving us a kind of rendering a power function, I guess, of the website. So if your head is not well structured, you won't get your website won't be rendered very well in the browser. I guess me. So now the first thing here is the meta. This meta tags is the majority of is the major element you be seen in the head. Meta, you can see we have three metas here. Meta. So inside this head will be defining your title of your website, be placing your description. Okay, website for Yalakara. Are you getting me? Okay, that's description. Okay, the author of the website. Let's say author is Rashid or any kind of the author of the website. That's you yourself doing the website. Are you getting me? Or the client you are working on or anything. So that's what the author is doing. So now this head contains those information. Likewise, external links. Are you getting me? If you want to link two different files together, like CSS and HTML, if you want to link them together, it's inside this head. You put that link tag. I guess so. It's very complex. You cannot just play around with anything and say, okay, let me just fix anything on this head. You need to understand them very, very well. Now, this character set is, don't forget, is what is an attribute. If you look at it very, is what is found inside the word, the opening tag. Now, if you look at this tag does not have, it does not have any closing tag. So this is called self-close tag. So any tag you see at all in HTML that does not have closing tag like this, because if you look at this body, let's take this body as example. This body has opening and closing. Are you getting it? But this method only has what? Opening tag. Does not have what? Closing tag. So we said we take this method as what? As a self-close, meaning it's just open, it's independent. Sorry, it's dependent, it's independent. Are you getting me? Is independent, does not have what? Closing tag. You need to work fine. So don't be confused, or are you getting me? Or you want to kind of say, oh, this one does not have closing tag now. That means it's not correct. No, it's called self-close tag. Now, the first attribute here is what? Character set. It determines the character set, the character in terms of the symbols you be using in your website. Let's say you want to use emoji and all of that. So all kind of any character you want to use, these tags define that. Very, very simple. Now, Meta HTTP, this is trying to make a compatibility in your website. I get me? Because your website, if you look at the website, any website you see that is not okay, I getting it across all the browser, maybe it's not rendering the single browser very well. Because if you are creating a website, you need to think of responsiveness, make your website responsive. So if you don't render some of these basic tags, I guess this mental task. That's why we are using the automation to generate this umbrella. So we don't want to miss anything. So that's what this one is doing for us. I guess to make our website compatible across the brand. Like this content also the same thing. So you can also go as well to read on all those things. If you over on this, you'll be seeing the definition. You can see devise a pragmatic directive like this, like because of the so HTTP equivalents like that. So if you look at this meta, we have name viewports. That's also doing the same thing with equals to device width. So from initial scale to 1.0. So this one is where you're trying to create you're trying to develop a website across different screen. So the initial scale is 1.0 upward. I getting it. So you're just trying to render a responsive content to you in the browser. So that's that. So like I said, this body contains all the information you want to show to the browser. Now, what I'll be doing here is I'll come here and create a p tag that we're saying. Now, if you want to create a tag, you don't need to disturb yourself much. Are you getting it? Now, you know the name of the tag you want to write. Now, I want to write the paragraph tag. Just write P, only P, just try enter. Then you can type what? Hello word. That's the content in between the words, the opening and the closing. So now, how do I view this file? I'll come to my folder right here. I'll open this. You can see index or HTML. So the moment you create any HTML file, it's going to appear in terms of like you need to appear like a browser icon. You need to have a browser icon. That's only HTML file. Don't forget, only HTML file. So if you create any other files apart from HTML, you're not going to see this browser icon. So, but this browser icon, my own is Chrome because I've set Chrome as default browser icon. I get default browser. So you may not have this as Chrome in your own. I get it. Don't be confused because I've set this as what I've set Chrome. I have Chrome on my system, then I've set it as default browser. I get it. That's why I have this. That's for only HTML. So now if I come here, I can view that in my browser. Let me just double click. All right. Now, if you look at this, it has come up. You can see hello world. Don't forget, if you don't follow this step here, like I showed you earlier, if you don't auto save, you not have the result because this thing, is, like I said, is saving automatically. Please don't forget that. Now, I have that. That's the first element, hello world. All right. Now, the next thing here is what we call element. Our explain element. That's when you have what the complete tag. You can see the complete tag opening and closing with what with the content. I guess me. That will be what we call element. Now, so don't be confused. If I should remove this paragraph tag, we can regard this element as what? This paragraph as an element. If it has what? The opening and closing, it's called an element. But this is called empty element because there is nothing to show in the what? In the browser. So any changes I make in my file, don't forget, my editor is on in autosave. That's already saved it. So what I'll come here, then refresh. That's what I need to do. You can see. So but this is called an element also, paragraph element, yes, but it does not have what? In as much it has opening and closing, are you getting me? It's an element, but it's an empty element. Unless you put uh a content inside the element. That's when you have what? A complete element. Are you getting me? So this is elements with what? Hello world. So if I come here, refresh again, that's hello world. Alright, so the next thing here is nesting. So what do we call nesting? So if I come here, nesting is the structural arrangement of elements. Because when you are rendering your content in your browser, in your HTML, you have a lot of tags. I guess because if you open some website, you'll be seeing a lot of tags, 1,000 tags, everything. I guess but so if you don't understand all these HTML basics, you find it very, very difficult. So part of them is nesting. So nesting is the structural arrangement of tags. Because when you have a lot of tags, you cannot just arrange tags anyhow. It's not possible. You need to follow the rule of nesting. So let me create a div. I get a div with a class of container right here. Container. Do you see that? Then don't forget this class here is what? It's an attribute. I get me? It's an attribute because what? We have a class container. Do you see that? A class container. So let me come again. A div. Don't forget, you want to write any tag, just type the name of the tag. Because this ID provides all those opening and closing, those voila, it has really make everything simple. I guess me. Just type the name of the tag, then type enter on your keyboard. Everything is what open and close for you. So in between, just type your content. So what I did here, I created a class. I want to add more information to this class of what container. Do you see that? Now, I want to have h2 right here. I guess in this usually is span of a web developer like this. Do you see it? Then I have so if you look at this, we're just trying to write a simple code. So now if you look at this, we have H2 Rashid, a web developer, that's that. So if you look at this arrangement, you observe very well. The way I'm doing it is that I write this one first, this div element first, followed by what? H2. Then inside the H2, I only have what? Rashid, then I have a span. But if you look at this very well, the element I closed last, then I open and close last is what? Is this span. So if you look at this arrangement, I have div as the parent element of h2 and span. But h2 itself, that's the children, I guess, of span. I guess, but div house the h2. Do you see that? So the arrangement of this element is called nesting. So nesting is that if you are closing your element, I guess if you are closing your tag, you need to close the last element you open first. The last element you opened, you need to close it first, followed by the next one, followed by the next one. Are you getting me? So this is the last element I open, I close it first, followed by what? Issue, followed by what? Div. Are you getting me now? So that will call nesting. Arrangement of elements. Are you getting me? So now if I come here, refresh, Rashid, a web developer. Do you see that? Now in elements, are you getting me? In elements, we have two types of elements. We have what we call block level elements and inline level elements. So the block level element is when you example of block element, because all these things when you do the real practical you understand. So block elements is they don't allow any other element to stand beside them. They're like independence, they don't allow anything to work towards them. I guess it. So example, let me show you an example. I guess it. So but if I don't show an example, you may not understand what I'm saying better. So if I come here, write a span, I get and say hello world. I get me. So if I come here and say in this example of inline level elements, elements that are divided into two, we have block level element and inline level. So this inline level element, you see that. So the example I showed earlier is called block level element. This H2 is called block level element. I get me. But where I'm going to is now let's see how this works in the browser. Now this inline level element, we can join them together. I get it. So in case you are creating a website that you see some elements that are kind of some text or content that are rendered side by side in terms of text, actually, you can use inline level element to make them in the same line. Like say hello world span again. I get it. Hello world a web developer like this. Developer. Do you see that? Now, if you look at this span, you can see I write it here, first line, that's line 17. I write it here also. But if I'm to show this in the browser, it's going to be together in the same line, not line by line like this. It's only this H2, which is a block level element, that's going to remain at this position without any other element. So if I come here, I get me. If I come here, so this span here is an inline level element. That means you're going to join with what? This H2. You're going to see Rashid, Elwood, and a what? Web developer on the same line. If I should refresh, this is that Rashid, Elwood. So don't forget, this is the what? Block level element. That's why it's not coming to this place. I get me. So it does not allow any other element to join with him at all. So that's why it's called block level element. Unlike the span, you can see I created the span here. I created the span here. They are still what? Joining together. Are you getting it? Hello world is the first one, and web developer is the second one. But they are still joining together. So you can make your research on block level and inline level element. Just play around with those tags and write that test run. That's why you're going to understand more in details. So now the next one here is the nav. This is now what do we use nav for? Nav in HTML. So nav is now let me quickly change this content, this title here. Like I said, we use this word to determine the title of a website. This is where you put the title. So I can come here in my HTML, you can see my browser, you can see document. This is document here. You can see that's where the title of the website normally normally appears. I guess me. It's not going to show in the browser. Don't forget, it's only inside. It's only what you have inside the body that you need to show to the browser, not inside the head. Don't forget this. So that's that. So let me just change the type here to web developer. Web development tutorial. I get a web development tutorial. So if I come here, don't forget to refresh. You can see we have that title right here. Yes. Now let me create a nav. So what do we use nav for? Nav is used to kind of make in terms of navigation. I guess navigation. How we use nav for. So when you are creating a website, the difference between a website and a web page. A website is when you have different pages, like one or more pages, like 2, 3, like that. I get it. That will call website. So when you are trying to move to all those pages on the website, we use what we call navigation to do that. I get it. So let me just come here and say H1. Don't forget logo. You see that. Then let me just write, I will explain li this item anchor like that. Don't forget I'm using nesting right here because if you look at this, I open this last, you can see it's closed inside the li. You can see the arrangement. Please let's pay attention. So li, you can see anchor again. So let me just li again. Li. So this li is called list item. List item. We are trying to list an item. So the first thing I have here is what? UL. So this UL is called on ordered list. When you're trying to create a list, you're trying to list some items, but it's not what? It's not ordered. I guess me. So we use the list item in the another this. Okay, this the first item, this the second item, and this was the third item. But we are using the word this anchor link. This anchor tag is called tag is called anchor. A is called anchor, not anchor tag. So we use what to show a kind of path. I guess it's one that declares the actual place you want to link to. I guess in. So the first one is home, right here, and the second one is about. So this way I'll be showing you how to create one or more files so that we are going to link through all those pages. So let's say contacts. You see that. So now if I now we look at this, I have H1. So let me show you the element I have here. I have H1, that's the logo, and I have what UL on other list. So the first item is what list home, and the second item is what about, and the third item is what contact. So now if I come here, if I come to my browser now, refresh, you can see logo. So all these things you are seeing here is called menu. I guess, but the whole of everything with the logo and the normally you have a logo on your website now. Logo, okay. Let's say any logo you want, you're going to have it. But the structure must be in line with this. I guess me. For a responsive website must be in line with this. You can add other elements. I guess me. So you can wrap this logo inside a div. I guess me. That does not mean anything. I guess me. You can wrap inside a div like this. You see that does not mean anything, but your structure must be in line with this. I guess to have a responsive navigation. Now that's that. So let me now if you look at this, I have home, about, and contact. That means I need to create 3 files. The first one must be home, and the second one must be about, and the third one must be contact. So I'll come here. I'll rename this one right here to about, home first. Don't forget home small letter .html. So it's better using small letter for your naming. I guess because you don't need to be using capital letter. So about .html like that. So and the third one is what contact.html. Then if you look at this ID, like I said, it's very your experience with this ID will usually be very good. I guess it. You have a lot of in fact, you even love using this ID. We have a lot of IDs to use, but this ID is for a beginner. I guess for any beginner, it's better you start with this ID. I guess to just make your work easier and faster, and again for you to have more interest in coding. I guess so if you just create any file, the file you created is going to appear on this place. So this place is called a workspace. You see that a workspace. So you make I'm creating all this file here. I guess it's showing those files here. You see that. So now I've changed on to home.html. You can see you can right click, rename, and all of that on any file. So so what I will do here is that for me to be able to reference all those files, what I will do here is that I'll copy. Now let me even show this in the browser. Let's see. Let me refresh. You can see here your file could not be accessed because the directory here has already changed. So I need to change on to what home.html like that. So we're going to have that page back. Now if I come here, I guess me. So if I come here and let me reference, so this href means hyper reference. We're trying to reference, I guess a kind of link to all those files. I guess this link can be external link or anything, but you're trying to reference that link to this place here. You see that? So what I'll do here is I'll say ./. Now for you to be able to easily reference any file in your directory using this ./, because the moment I just type this ./, you need to list out any files or folder you have in that directory. Any file or folder. Now let me test this. If I come here and say CSS file right here. Now if I come back again, let's say I want to reference that CSS folder here. If I do that again, you can see you have the CSS folder. I guess that means if I want to take anything from this CSS, I can just click here and take it. I guess me. So be using that thing to reference any folder or files or any videos, image, anything. I guess me. So I come here and say home.html. That's the first one. That's the first thing. And the second one is ./, sorry, ./ and say about.html, then the forward slash contact.html. So I come here and refresh. Now if I hover on this, you can see the link is already showing at the bottom. You see that. So I click on any of this file, you can see about.html. You see that. That means this file is created, yes, but we are not able to work to, we don't have anything. This file is empty here. I get it. So that means we need to copy the whole of, don't forget, if you are writing anything, the first thing you need to have your HTML file is the simple boiler. So I can easily copy all this. I get it. With what? With navigation also. So for we to be able to, now we are already in about. So for we to be able to go back to, for we to be able to go back to all those pages, that means the navigation must be present here also. I guess that's the advantage of the navigation. So I copy all this, Control A, Control C, come here, then paste, contact, then paste this that. So I come here, then refresh, you can see I have that. Then the title is present back. This that web development tutorial, that's the title of the website. So I come here, I can able to go back to home easily. You can see home easily. So let me just try to make it a little bit. So let me just come here and say H2, welcome to my home page, like so. This is that. So that's, sorry, this is about page. Contact rather. This contact like that. So, sorry, contact. So I can highlight everything. Control C, come back to about. Okay, we have that already. So let me just paste that. H2, welcome. Welcome to my, which page is this? About. Okay, about page. This is that. So I'll copy this. Home right here. I'll paste it down here. This is that. Welcome to my what? Home page. So if I come here, then refresh, you can see I'm already in what? The home page. If I click on home, I'm already in home page. About page. You see it changes. That means I'm moving from different files. That means different pages. Are you getting me? Then about page, contact page. Now you see that that's navigation. So as simple as it is, that's it. So now that's navigation. So the next thing here is on the list is form. So what do we call a form? I guess what do we call a form? So in HTML we use a form to do some kind of collecting data from the user. I guess we use to collect data from the user. So if you are creating a website and your website does not have any form, that means you are not doing the right thing. I guess you are not creating, you are not trying to engage the user last people come to your website. I guess they must to submit their experience, or if they have any message for you. I guess for you to be able to collect those data, we use what form to do that. So now in form, I say form, you see it. Now if I create any tag, you can see this one has an attribute. Don't forget, an attribute can be found inside what? The opening tag. So this anything you see immediately after the name of this tag, you can see form. Anything you see that appears inside the opening tag here, after the name of the tag, is called attribute. I guess it. So this action is an attribute for this form. So now we have some basic elements for form. We have what we call label. I guess me label for name. Let's say I'm creating. Now I'll be showing you some samples here. I guess of form. Okay, let me continue. So let's say I want to label for name. I guess me. So input type text, and in fact let me open this. Yeah, if you look at this, so we want to be using this simple contact form as a kind of a template. So we want to achieve this. I guess we want to code this out using HTML. So we are only concerned with HTML now. I get it. So that's that. So now if I come here, right here, now what I'll do is I'll try to separate my screen so that we're going to have that right here. So if you look at this, this is a simple contact form. So now if I want to achieve this, So the first one here, if you look at this thing very well, let me zoom. You can see first name. So we are this kind of contact form just to submit your data, your name, first name, and last name. Now, if you look at this first name here is the label we have here. The label. If you are trying to label the data you want to collect, so this input determines the kind of data. Any kind of data can be a number, email, anything. You can see this contact form, first name, last name. So any kind of data you want to collect will be the inputs. I guess the inputs will carry that. So we only have label and input for our form. I guess like I said, you can also use other HTML tags to do some other things. But for any form you see, I guess in HTML form, the basic thing you see there is this form, label, and input. So label just determine the name of the data you want to collect. So like from this example now, the first data we are taking here is what? The first name. So first name like that. First name. Do you see that? So you can change this. This is just kind of reference, like telling us that okay, you are labeled for first name. I guess it. So you can put it, you will not put it. I guess it. Just label, you're not doing anything. It's kind of an attribute. Like I said, just telling more information about this label that okay, you are labeling for what? First name. Like that. You see? Sorry. I get me. So you're not doing anything, but don't forget, is this content you want to render to what? The browser. I guess me. So label for first name, then input type. So your name normally is going to be what? In form of text. I guess me. So this type attribute is giving us that okay, you are trying to collect the data that's in form of what? Text. So your name will be in text. So what I will do, I'll copy all this. I get it. Now paste it right here. So the next one is what? Label for last name like that. Last name. So the input type is also text. So I'll copy this again. The next one is what? Email. Your first and last name will be text. You cannot say your name is number or anything like here. Your name should be in text format. So now last name. So the next one is what? Email. So I'll just remove all this. Email, label for email. Then I'll change on to email. But if you look at this data here, the type attribute is what? Is text. So we have a type attribute. Type, then just change the value there to email. Are you getting it? So HTML renders that for us. So automatically it's validating your what? Your form for you. Are you getting it? So the next one is what? Is phone number. Phone number. Phone number. Phone number. So I'll say phone number like so. Phone, then number. Phone, then number. Abi? Is there is a capital letter, but that will not mean anything. So phone number like that, phone number. Are you getting it? So here is what? Number. Are you getting it? So don't forget your phone number should be in what? In numbers. Are you getting it? You cannot say your phone number is one is text. It should be in number form. So this data, this type attribute just tends to just is the one collecting the data. So for you to be able to tell browser that okay, what kind of data you want to collect. So this type attribute is doing that for us. Text, email, number. You see that? So the next one is what? City. Now this city, don't forget you're going to have a lot of cities, Abby. So let's say Lagos. So we use what we call select option to do that. Select. You can say select. So from here I'll have option. So the option here, I getting me, is the all those cities you want to collect. I getting me. So let's say I have city right here. So I'll just duplicate this. Let's say so let's say I have Lagos. You see, I have Abuja. Let's just do two. So this select option is giving us okay different option you want to select. You see that? So that's that. So now we have another one for what? For message. So we use what's called text area to do that. Text area. You see it? So we are not concerned about this. But this one is just trying to define the amount of columns and row. I will explain this. Let me just remove all this. Don't forget they are all attributes. So that means you can have more than one attribute inside what? Inside the tag. You see that? Opening tag, but we have two attributes here. Post and rules. I get me. So that's that. So text area. So that's that. So if you look at, we have some things inside. You see that, like first name inside that input. So we use what we call placeholder to do that. So I'll just highlight everything like this. I'll put a placeholder attributes on them. So we use Control D. I get to do that. Control D to select everything. You can do it manually, but down does not mean. Okay, let me just type this. Let me just type it because the text is not in order. So placeholder first and this that placeholder. Let me just copy everything. Let me do it manually. So placeholder last name placeholder email like that. Email this that placeholder phone number phone number phone number this that. I will call placeholder to kind of label the input itself. Like okay, we are putting this is where you are putting your phone number. You understand? Yeah. So uh so we have placeholder for this also. Placeholder for message. You see that? So the last one we have here is the button. So I can use inputs as the button, but if you click on this, you see that the input type is what? The button, but the value is this text inside. The text you are seeing here is the value. So I'll just type send. That's the text. That's the value this input is showing. So if this value is empty, I'm going to say anything inside. But let's review this. So let's refresh. Don't forget we are doing that inside the home.html file. Let me just copy all this. I get me. Let's put it inside contact. So let's say we are creating a responsive website, contact.html. I can just copy all that, Control E, then cut it to contact.html. So I'll paste it right. This that. So that means I have it. If I refresh, now what do you see? You can see I have those. Like I can see the city. This is that's the one for this is that. So that's that. Now if I come here and now if you look at this, it's in one line. I guess me. So if you observe this thing is like in one line. They are joining together. So that means all these tags, they are what? They are inline level elements. I guess me. That means they can just join them together like what I explained about elements, inline level elements. They are meant to in form of inline. They are meant to like join together, unless you try to separate them. So they are all inline level. What I'll just do is that I'll create a break tag. This is a tag that I can break those things together. They can move to the next line. I can use to break them, like cut individual like this. Cut it here, cut it here, cut it here like that. You see? So that's what this break is doing. So I come here, Control C, then I want to be breaking from the input so that we are going to see labeled inputs for different data we are collecting. You see that break and break. So I refresh. Now this is perfect. This is that. So you can type number here. This is. So let's say I have my name, shade, this that last name, like that. You see email. If you type any rubbish email here, if you type enter, I guess it's going to. If you look at what we have here, I guess we have the input email, type email. I guess it. So this thing is validating automatically. But let me do this now. If I come here, put the number, let's say 09044 like that. A message here like this. I get me. So let's say Lagos. If I click on send, do you see it? We are not validating this thing right now. I get me. If I type enter, it's not yet validated. So we use a kind of a keyword, I get me, for forms. I get me, which is called required for forms. So if I come here and put required on this email and put required like this, required. So that means I want to any data you are trying to require. Okay, this data must be required. We use that also. So if I say, if I refresh, if I type anything and submit, okay, if I just type anything here, type any number here, type any any text right here, I get me. Because if I should remove this thing is required right here. I get me. But what I want you to pay attention to is that this label, we are trying to label for the type should be email. Then we are trying to require that particular uh input, that particular data we are trying to collect. I get me. So if we don't put it here, it's not going to what? It's not going to be validated. I get me. It's not going to what? Validated. That means it must be what? It must be present. And again, let me just type a good email here. Let me just say to you, I get me, at gmail.com. Do you see that? Do you see? So this is not valid yet. Do you see that? So that's all about form. I guess me. So that's how to create. Now if you look at this, you may be thinking that okay, we have not applied the color and all of that. It's not there, but the structure is rendered. This is that the structure is what is rendered perfectly. It just remains what the color and everything. But that's beyond this tutorial. I guess me. So that's beyond the so we are not doing that for now. So we're not doing that for now. So that's that. So the next thing we want to talk about is the so that's just as simple as it is. That's it. Now if I come here, if you come to this last, now what I have on my list, the last one is what table. You see that? So this example of table, I get it. I want to explain some things here. So let's say I want to achieve this. This is a table. So a table just help us to create render data in form of columns and rows. I get it. So that's what table is meant for, just to render data. Data type of, let's say, text. Now this example, let me show you. We look at this. This is a table. You see this? The table. You can see data of some student or anything. You can see that that's a table. So much if you are trying to render a lot of data that are arranged like this, it's better you use what tables to do it. So now let me just come to my home.html. Let me now how do we create the table? The first one is a table. Do you see that? Now if you look at this data, these data they are arranged in fact let me use this as an example. Let's use this. This data they are arranged in what columns and rows. That's the first thing. We have row one. This is row one. We have row. But how many rows do we have here? We have one. We have we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 rows. I guess me. So what I will do is I will start with the first row. So we use a tag called table row to do that. So I'll say table row. Now if you look at this is a kind of a label, a title for this identity. Job ID, you can see, it's kind of creating a title for this IDs of the customer. Do you see that? So we use a tag called T head to do that. I guess in creating a title, that's table head. So job ID, you see that? And the next one is what T. Don't forget, we are concerned with the rules. That's the first rule. So the first rule we have job ID, customer name. So I'll say TH again. That's for the second item there. That's customer name. This that. And the second one is TH. We have amount, 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 then amount due. Yeah. And the third one is The fourth one is TH, that's table head. So payment status. You see that? So now that's for this first row. Don't forget table row. So the next one is for the second row. I'll just feel like two so you understand how it works. So for the second row, now what was the first second data I have there? 422, that's the first one. 42235, that's for the first job ID. So I'll say TD. So any data this is the first one here. It's a table head. Like I said, like showing the title of those lists or those items. I get it. So for every data inside, we're using table data to do that. So table data, so I'll say 42355. Anyhow, sorry. So CD again, John Doe, John Doe, and the next one is what? CD again. The money is $350, $345, and the next one is the status, the payment status. You can see. So the first one is taking this. The second table is taking this. Use that. The third one is taking this, and the fourth one is taking what? This. As simple as that. But they arrange what? Rules. They arrange in rules. So I'll just come here and say pending for that. You see, sorry. I didn't write it inside between the open and the closing tab. So pending like that. So I'll just copy that. The last one, let me just put in number 5675. So Rojo, this one is $600 pending as well. So that means we have how many rules now? One, we have two, and we have what? Three rules. This is that. So now if I come here, don't forget which page is this? That's home page. Let me come to my home page. Let me go back to my home page. You can see this data is rendered with this. You see that? Job ID, customer, you see it. It's the same thing. Now for you to have a kind of border, I get like what I showed here. I get it. We use what? We use the border attributes here. These lines you are seeing, as you have a lines running around this thing with the border attributes. So we can determine the thickness of those border, the thickness of those lines. I get it using the border attributes. Border, then the value is 2 here. That means it should be a little bit thick. I get it. If I refresh, you can see I have the lines, something like this. I get it. So that's how to do that. Now there's something we call colon span, code span, and row span. So you're trying to determine uh, okay, we want to let this job ID to occupy. Don't forget. Now, if you look at this, we have how many rows now? We have one, Abby. This is the first row. This is that 2 and 3. So we want to let this job ID to occupy like let's say 2 columns. No column is what? Vertical. So I want to let it to occupy 2 columns. I want to make this to occupy 2 columns. So we use an attribute to do that also. So if you don't understand attributes, you need to just go back, rewind the video and check the explanation. Very important. So if you want to apply an attribute to this, I'm going to put inside here the opening tag, don't forget. So upon here, I want to apply a code span. I get a code span like that. Code span equals to this that. I'll specify my what? My value. Let's want to apply with 2 columns. I get if I come here, I refresh. Oops. Code span. Oh, sorry. I want to let this. It's not here. I want to let this TH. Don't forget. This TH should occupy 2, not the table row. That's a mistake. So I'll come here and paste it right here. I get it. Is it the particular job ID? Don't forget, I want to let job ID to occupy 2 columns. I refresh now. You can see it occupy 2 columns of that data. I get it. It occupy 2 columns. Now, if I come here, I can let everything to occupy 2 columns. That means it will be a little bit enlarged. I get it. So now I can just copy the value here, this code span. We have another called row span also. I get it. So just copy this, put this right here, then copy this, put it right here. That means the first column we have what? Two columns. I get it. By refresh, start doing again. Okay, this meant for the oh sorry, this THTD. That's TDTD, not THTH. You see that TDTD, not THH. So okay, cold span, TDTD, cold span, TDTD. Let me undo. Let me kind of okay. Let me undo. Let me just remove. Okay, let me refresh again. We have this here. Okay, let me just copy this. Let's test this inside the what's it called? Inside the second one. So I can paste it here, full span. If I paste it here, full span. If I paste it here, full span. So column span. So I come here, refresh, and see I have two columns for all this data. I get it. So I can as well now if I paste the full span here, I get it. If I should refresh, you can see it's already working now. This start full span. So because I copied the wrong thing there, that's why it's not working before. So post span is that. So it's occupying two columns. So if you are trying to say use this post span, you need to be very, very careful. I get it. So you can see this one is not working. That means I'm trying to have scattered the arrangement with my post span. I get it. So that post span, we have another one for row span also. So it's meant for just to do some kind of uh, arrangement of your data, not everything. I get me. So this one I use here. Let me remove this. If I should refresh. Now this then remove. Now let me remove. Let's focus on this job ID. I get me. This job ID. Let's focus on that. Now if I want to say okay, this what's it called? This job ID is occupying two columns. Now at the same time, occupy uh three rows. That's two rows. So I'll use the row span also on it. I get an attribute row span. This that equals to let's say 2 as well. If I come here, I should refresh, you can see it occupies two columns. You can see that means one and what? Two. So it depends on what you are actually you are trying to achieve. The template. I get me. So just for you to be familiarized with all these things, because there are some jobs that will require you this. I get it, using it. There are some jobs that don't require it. It's not every time you're using it. But you need to understand that's the focus. So that's not about table. So in short, we have talked about the everything. So the tags, elements, attribute nesting, singular, now form. So that's all about that. So if you look at what we have so far, we created this HTML file. How many HTML files? We have what? Three HTML files. So look at this kind of template. That means we are having a complete website because we can able to navigate to different pages now. I get it. About page. Let me just come here. Let me just add a kind of text to that about page. Let's say, let me generate a lorem of 30. These are just meaningful words. I get it. So let me just type 30 words. If I refresh and see that. So so if I should so that means we have what? This is a website now because we have what? More than one web page. I get this is a website. So that's that for the tutorial. So everything just require you to stay focused, practice, and that's all. So thank you very much. Thank you.